Hi. So today I wanted to talk about, excuse me, the INTJ a little. I recently took the Myers-Briggs test again. I haven't taken it in a long time, and I guess in the past I really haven't cared anything about it. But recently my girlfriend's grandma was here, and she was an expert on it. And she was also an INTJ. I'm an INTJ myself, and so that kind of got me looking into it a lot more and researching it, and so I kind of want to talk about it today. Just what I've experienced in my life and the different ways that it comes across, obviously. Um, I definitely am an introverted person. My external world is I don't want to say like a joke, but it's not solid, and it's not something that I look at in a very serious way. I used to, but over time, I feel like just the development, my personal development, has allowed me to, sorry, very much kind of move past that in a sense. I feel like I didn't really. I guess it takes a long time as a kid growing up as an INTJ to kind of own it in a sense. I feel like for a long time, because of my pattern recognition and because of my ability to essentially put on any role and pick up any sort of social tendency possible, I guess I developed different personalities that I would play based around different people. And I know it's a very common trait, but I think it was in a much more detached way than normal, in a sense of always sitting back and watching myself. And I know I said INTJs are very much sort of unappreciative of social niceties, and I can definitely attest to that. And I would say that for myself, it's been kind of a build up to that point. I feel like growing up as a kid, I was always looking for a best friend. And I mean that in the sense of I had a lot of best friends and I had a lot of great times. And a lot of people that even were very much into the same things that I was into. But just this sense of a way to connect with another human being that allowed me to share my mental processes, my individual systems that I'd implemented and that were constantly being updated, that were essentially the main focus of my life, whereas the social, physical aspect was kind of like taking it to the streets. Like after I had figured a mental process out in my head, I would kind of try it on, and then I would play with different ways of interacting with it with other people, and I'm sure a lot of people out there are like, oh well, that's just not genuine, that's not it's not in integrity with what you want to do, and for a long time I felt that way also. I was kind of like worked my way up this ladder. Any ladder I ever was a part of, I worked my way up by just understanding the processes and understanding the systems within it and the patterns. And then from there, I mean, everything is a pattern. I would say all human beings, most human beings that I've interacted with consist of essentially like less than six really strong limitations that they put on themselves that allow them to always react in specific ways. So over time, you just start understanding them all, and it just starts becoming something that you very much So when you're seeing social niceties, or when you're seeing these social interactions that are very normal, what I've always felt is obviously that it's just a waste of time, and I know a lot of other INTJs feel that same way, and it's just like a perceptual thing. Like, there's no way, once you pick up on the patterns of other people, and you pick up on why they treat each other the way they treat each other, and why those things even exist. Dishonesty, for example, manipulation, jealousy, resistance, any of these things are very much insecurity are major factors in the social game. So because of that, people act in specific ways to dominate each other, reallocate group energy to themselves, all sorts of things. And I think, like, what is the deepest desire of an INTJ, if any social interaction at all, is one on which that the level of realness is able to be taken to a place with no limitation. Because obviously, to an INTJ, everything is an equation with variables. And each of these variables is very, very important to every other aspect. The systems that are built mentally are something that require all the variables to be understood and all the variables to be controlled. And so when we interact with each other, even if there are like slight limitations on what we can converse about or the way we can express ourselves, we approach this level of being ingenuine, and there's no way around it, essentially, because the honesty lights people up, and people get really irritated and aggravated by hearing truths and observations about everything that I think on a subconscious level they know exists, but they're just not ready to interact with. And that makes up, I feel like, the majority of interactions that you experience as an INTJ. It's something that you just want people to be real, but people don't even know that they're fabricating a persona to play. And I think that everyone fabricates a persona to play, for the most part, in social situations. But I think most people genuinely believe that that's who they are. And as an INTJ, you study the different ways that that's not true about yourself. And you can't help but see the ways that you're manipulating situations and different systems. And in that regard, then you start to be able to watch how other people are manipulating systems. So even brought up to other people, the conversation can get really iffy really quick for the other party, because they just have no desire to hear that. Like, it works for them. That's how far they want to go with it. And so I think we have just that strong desire to experience ultimate honesty. And if we're going to have a conversation, it's hard to put value in it if it doesn't shed light onto something that you yourself haven't shed light onto. Anything other than that is something that you very much are like, you understand the systems, so you understand everything everyone's really going to say to you at any given time, and you can pre-calculate it, and it just makes social situations awkward in a lot of ways, because if people can't have who you really are, then you're forced to be something that you're not, and that is something that an INTJ doesn't really know how to do very well, because it's just a manipulation, and a very conscious one, and it's something that totally goes against your integrity. So it's a problem to figure out who to be then, and what to be. And so social interactions are avoided at most costs. But in my next video, I'll talk about the different ways that can shift, and the way that can change to be something that you really can grow with.